Well, hello. Welcome back to Toy Thursday with Johnny Tiger. Even though I know it's late, this is actually Friday, October 2nd, 2020. It finally happened. I knew, I talked about this way back in the beginning of starting these videos, that one day, eventually, bound to happen, I was going to get so busy and overwhelmed that I would miss one day and break the chain. I think I did pretty good. I went 7 months making one video every day, but it finally happened yesterday. It was mid-autumn holiday in Chinese culture. So one of my best friend, Kevin, decided to come over to have dinner and have a few drinks. And well, let's just say he stayed a lot longer than I anticipated. So after he left, it was almost 2 a.m. Already, and I had to clean up the empty beer cans and dirty dishes. And by the time I was done, I was so tired and feeling a little bit drunk. So I decided, well, heck, it's already Friday, 2 a.m. So there's no point for me to stay up and do Toy Thursday. Um, I might as well wait until I wake up next day and get this done. So anyway, uh, fear not, I'm going to make it up to you guys. This is going to be very large show and tell, and also there is going to be a Fitness Friday coming right after. So yay, two videos in a row in one day. Awesome. Nothing like a bit of overexposure to Johnny Tiger. So who is this very intimidating looking fellow in front of the camera? I think most of you who follow the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Marvel comic recognize him right away. Trench coat, a skull logo on his t-shirt, a lot of guns and knives all over him. This is none other than the Punisher. After witnessing his entire family being murdered by gangsters, police officer Frank Castle, who was also a former Vietnam veteran, U.S. Special Forces and Marine, and so on and so on. He has a lot of accomplishment. Frank Castle decided that there is no justice in the world, that law and order, serve and protect was no longer enough, that they did not protect his family. So he turned in his badge and stopped being a police officer. He stopped fighting on the side of the law. He used his extensive martial art training, special forces training, and his street level connections to get himself a lot of guns and explosives, and he became the Punisher. His goal in his life, his mission, was to eradicate crime. He would go after the worst of the worst, psychotic killers, psychopaths, child molesters, kidnappers, criminals, drug dealers, arms dealers, etc., etc. And he would be judge, jury, and executioner. He would kill them in the most gruesome fashion. He would keep this up until there's no more criminals on the street. And the Punisher has always been one of my favorite Marvel characters. For your information, if you have not seen the Netflix Punisher series, I highly recommend it. It's a little bit draggy at times. He's a little bit wishy-washy, especially there's so much flashback about his dead wife and children. But if you can look past that, it's actually quite an enjoyable action series. I always tell people that my favorite DC superhero is the Batman. And reason is Batman, just like the Punisher, is a normal guy. He's a guy who's got a mission to eradicate crime, and he doesn't have any superpower. Punisher, Batman, they're both normal guys. You shoot them in the head, they will die. You drop a rock on their head, they would die. To me, that makes them better characters because the way I look at it is, if you are bulletproof, if you can fly, if you can lift an entire train like Superman or Wonder Woman, then it's easy for you to fight crime. There's no risk involved for you to stop a bank robbery. But for someone like the Punisher or the Batman to get in there and actually try to apprehend the bad guy, they are running a lot of personal risk. So to me, they are more heroic. Now, it is all fine and dandy to say that you want to eradicate crime, that you want to get rid of all the big bad criminals and big bosses and underground figures. You want to get rid of them, wipe them off the face of the earth. It's a very noteworthy goal, but is it possible? Well, today I'm going to show you some of the worst of the worst, some of the worst criminals that the Punisher would have to contend with and deal with. And we'll see if the Punisher can succeed with our list of mafia crime bosses in my collection. First, let me say that we do have a very tight um, qualification to be featured today. I'm not going to feature anyone like Lex Luthor from Superman, or Sonatos from Gargoyles, or Ian Nottingham from Witchblade, or the Mishima Corporation from Tekken. Reason being, to me, those are not gangsters. Those guys, they might be criminals, but for the most part, they are uh, uh, corporations and organizations, mostly on the military and financial level. They're really, really rich people who try to rule the world. So they're not out there peddling drug or pimping prostitute. So that's why they're not qualifying for the video today. Uh, we do have to set a limit, otherwise the video would get way too long. It's already really, really long. So, let's get the show on the road. Who will be the Punisher's first contender? Since we already talked about Batman, and let's look at a gangster from Batman universe. You've seen this guy already a couple of weeks ago when we talk about fat characters. This here is the Penguin. The Penguin was born a very small, deformed child. He grew up being laughed at and being discriminated against. He was also very sociopathic, very psychopathic, and even being small and fat, it did not stop him from reaching the top chain in the underworld and became one of the most influential and one of the most feared underworld figures. He is that guy. He is that crime lord who you go to if you want to find this rare gem or rare weapon or hard to get drug. Uh, Penguin is that guy. He has a very extensive underworld connection, and he is a lot more dangerous than he seems. Maybe because of his short stature and deformed look, the Penguin has always been very quick to murdering people because of his kind of being a little bit unbalanced, I would say. And so he carries an umbrella that has like hidden blades and hidden guns and hidden shotguns built into it. That is his preferred murdering weapon. And despite being short and portly, he is quite deadly if you don't anticipate him. Would the Punisher be able to take out this gangster? Sure, I think so. I mean, the Punisher has taken out a lot bigger fish or bird than the Penguin. Uh, Despite being just a normal human being, the Punisher had managed to gun toe to toe against super powered villains, powerhouses such as the scary as heck Tiger Shark. So that's definitely uh, within his scope of possibility. And knowing the way the Punisher works, he probably would just put a bullet through the Penguin's head. So the Penguin, not having any kind of superpower himself, wouldn't be able to stand up against that. So that is one gangster off the chart. Next up, we have another gangster from Batman's universe. This is the Joker. Now, normally I don't associate the Joker with gangsters because to me he's more of a psycho killer than anything. But uh, in the well, he just fell over. In the Suicide Squad movie, they actually portrayed him as quite a threatening criminal organizer and gang leader. That's why we're including the Joker today. The Joker's background is very controversial. Um, he just can't seem to stand still too. Uh, the Joker's background is very controversial. Uh, some people said that he was a normal guy working in a chemical factory, and then the Batman broke into the factory trying to arrest the people there, and the Joker got scared and fell into a vat of chemicals. That's transformed him into this pale, creepy-looking clown dude. Another version of the story said the Joker was actually the criminal that killed Batman's parents. So when Batman eventually tracked him down, he fled into a chemical factory and fell into a vat of chemical, and it turned him into this. This version of the Joker was made by Mattel. Not a very good figure, as you can see already. He constantly falling over. He is portrayed in the depicted, shall I say, in the scene where he just escaped from the asylum. So you can see he's wearing a stolen coat, lab coat, nothing underneath. He's like a flasher. Look at that. He's like a flasher. He's barefoot. He got his cane. Now, what makes the Joker really dangerous is he is very crazy, very psychotic, and almost everything on him can become a weapon. His cane, even the button on his shirt would have poison gas filled into it. He would have razor blade hidden in his mouth. He's that kind of psycho, creepy kind of guy. Now, would the Punisher be able to take out the Joker? No problem. I mean, the Joker got caught by Batman so many times, it's not even funny anymore. Every single time he get caught, he gets locked away, and then he managed to uh, break out of jail or the asylum, and then he kills some more people, and then Batman would arrest him again, and then he would get locked away again. So in other words, the Joker is not infallible. He gets caught all the time. Now the Batman happened to have this personal code of conduct that he doesn't kill people. If the Punisher was to go after the Joker wouldn't even get a second chance. Again, one bullet through the brain, no more Joker. Next up, now we get someone who's a lot more serious. This guy actually means business. Again, most of you would recognize this guy. He is the Shredder. This is actually a really new figure. I just got him 2 weeks ago, even though I pre-ordered him back in March. He was made by NECA and in the Turtles in Time Ninja Turtle video game. A really nice looking figure actually. He has a real cloth cape on his back. This is really nice material. And look at his hand. Let's see, got this big flaming energy effect coming out of his hand. In the movie or in the cartoon, he's never been able to do something this crazy, but in the video game, apparently he can. He can project energy blast like this. Now that makes him a whole lot more dangerous. Really nice, really nice figure. Um, he's a little bit skinny, uh, but hey, he is a Japanese dude. Um, so who is the Shredder? Well, the Shredder was one of the best ninja in the in the Foot Ninja clan. After murdering his best friend over the affection of a woman, he became the leader of the Foot Ninja clan. Gradually, the Foot Ninja clan came to New York and tried to take over New York City and the New York underworld, and ran afoul of the Ninja Turtles. And then from there on, the rest is history. It just went on and on and on and on. And Shredder tried to kill Ninja Turtle. Ninja Turtle tried to survive, get rid of Shredder. And Shredder teamed up with some alien warlord and still trying to kill Ninja Turtle. And Ninja Turtle still beat Shredder. And it just went on and on. But uh, despite of our common perception of Shredder, he is a very, very dangerous enemy, a very dangerous gangster. Now, it is debatable because originally I didn't want to include Shredder because I figured, well, you know, he's the head of a ninja clan. That's not really a gangster. However, his personal conduct and the conduct of the Foot Ninja clan, they quite often rob banks and they break into jails and they steal things and stuff like that. That to me classify them as a gang. They don't behave like ninjas. They behave like common thugs. So that makes Shredder a gangster. There are a couple of things that really notable about Shredder, despite of what we've seen of him uh, having his butt handed to him by the Ninja Turtle all the time. In one of the early depictions, I can't remember it was in the cartoon or the movie, there was a scene where Shredder was sitting around the table with a bunch of Yakuza gangsters, and he got angry and murdered a lot of them within several seconds. Like these were hardened gangsters with bodyguards and guns and swords, but Shredder single-handedly killed them all within a few seconds. That was like the first inclination we have of how dangerous this guy really is. And then later, in the most recent crossover movie, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle versus Batman, Shredder went one on one against Batman. Now, Batman has always been said to be like one of the best martial artists, one of the toughest regular human character in DC Comics. But Shredder owned Batman in that movie. Shredder totally owned Batman, and if not because of being rescued, and Batman probably would have died. Shredder was that crazy strong. So would the Punisher be able to take out the Shredder? Doubtful, doubtful. I think even in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, there has been a lot of people with guns, like police officers and military people that tried to shoot at Shredder before, and he's always been able to escape that. And Shredder is very devious, very crazy strong. So I think there is a chance Punisher might be able to take him out if Punisher take him by surprise. Because one thing we know about Shredder is sometimes he's not very bright. sometimes he's a little bit foolish. So I think if the Punisher can set a trap for him, like a car bomb or something, then he can wipe out this ninja master. But if he go toe to toe against Shredder, Shredder would, well, shred him. And since we show Shredder, we are going to show another underworld boss that is somewhat like Shredder's counterpart. This is the Silver Samurai from Marvel Comic. The Silver Samurai named Yoshida. Can't remember. I think it's Hamada Yoshida or something like that. I can't remember his full name. I always just call him the Silver Samurai. Uh, this is a very nice figure as well. This figure is quite new. Just came out last year, I believe. Look at the work on his armor. I kind of feel that I showed him in a previous episode, but I can't remember for sure. The Silver Samurai is a mutant who has the ability to project massive concussive energy blast through his sword. Normally, he is a mercenary, an adventurer, and normally I wouldn't consider him a gangster. However, if you look at his biography, the Silver Samurai, for a period of time, was the leader of the Yakuza gang. The Yakuza is basically Japan's equivalent of the mafia. So, yeah, that definitely qualified him to be uh, featured in today's video. The Silver Samurai is very notorious, very notable because he is one of the very few people in Marvel comic that consistently uh, beat guys like Wolverine and other martial arts experts. The Silver Samurai is one of the most deadly swordsmen, martial artists, and criminal in the Marvel comic. As far as in the low tier guys go, he doesn't have a lot of big, flashy superpower. And he actually did get killed later in the comic. Spoiler, but anyway, I think most of you know that already. Be that as it may, this armored warrior is one heck of a very dangerous gangster, yakuza leader, and his armor, even though it looked like a traditional samurai armor, his armor is actually very high tech. His armor is bulletproof, blast-proof, bomb-proof, all kind of stuff, and his swords are said to be able to cut through anything. Again, would the Punisher be able to take out someone like the Silver Samurai? Doubtful. It's not impossible, but it's doubtful. The Silver Samurai has way too much raw power and superhuman ability and this high-tech suit of armor that protects him. So the Punisher would have to get into something really, really creative to take this guy out. Incidentally, if you guys want to, do a YouTube search on Death Battle Shredder versus Silver Samurai for a little bit of harmless fun to see uh, if the ninja master can beat that samurai warrior. Now we are getting into some really, really deep water, and we are the last three figures I'm going to show you are some of the uh, holy grails that I've been looking for in the last years, and they happen to be some of the worst criminal and mafia bosses. This is the Kingpin. I remember this guy fondly. When I was a teenager back in 1996, I had an action figure of the Kingpin. Kingpin started out as a villain for Spider-Man, and then got shuffled over to be a villain for Daredevil. But he also has regular run-in with guys like Punisher. The Kingpin usually look like this big, fluffy, fat guy uh, with a bald head. He doesn't look like much, but the Kingpin is actually one of the most dangerous human-level criminals in Marvel Comics. His real name is Wilson Fisk. He grew up as a really fat kid in the ghetto and really poor and got picked on all the time. But eventually, Wilson Fisk grew up to be the towering 6'7", almost 500-pound guy. And out of that 500 pounds, only 8 pounds is actually fat. He has muscles upon muscles under that. Like you can't see it on the camera right now because he got his suit and his vest on. But there were times when he take off his shirt or his shirt get torn in the cartoon or during the comic, and this guy is just packed full of muscles. Like what looked like fat is a lot of muscles. He is so crazy strong that Wilson Fisk, despite of not being superhuman, he's able to crush someone's skull with one hand, and he's been able to withstand superhuman like Spider-Man and Daredevil. During one of the fights, he also used, get this, he used a barbell that was over 1,000 pounds as his weapon. He is crazy strong, he is crazy smart. He has so much willpower that he is immune to a lot of the telepathic attacks from mutants and heroes that try to dominate his mind. And he has been defeated again and again and again, but always he would come back, rebuild his gang, and he was even the mayor of New York City for a while. So the Kingpin is definitely one of the craziest, most feared criminals of all time in the comic book. Aside from his massive strength, he also carries a diamond top cane in his hand. He doesn't actually need the cane to walk. He uses this as a weapon. The cane is a really strong weapon for bludgeoning someone to death, and also built into that little diamond is a laser gun, like a laser device that can melt someone at close range. Would Punisher be able to take out Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin? He's tried. Like he tried so many times in the comic book, and there was a few times that the Punisher went toe to toe against the Kingpin and almost got beaten to death. The Kingpin took everything the Punisher had to throw at him and didn't even seem to feel it. So the Kingpin definitely has survived the Punisher, and it doesn't look like the Punisher is ever going to be able to get rid of this particular criminal overlord. Next up, things are about to get really, really crazy. This is Master Bison from, he is the overlord, the leader, the creator of the Shadowloo criminal organization, crime syndicate, and he is from the Street Fighter video game. He is another character that I remember fondly because the Street Fighter was one of the first video games I learned to play back in 1991 or 1990, around those times. And Master Bison was the final guy you have to defeat if you want to finish the game. And I had I have an action figure of him earlier, like back then in the 90s. Now, back then, he didn't look like this. In the earlier video game, Master Bison looked like a dumpy looking guy in a red uniform, red military uniform. He didn't look very impressive. But then, in the later video games, he went into Incredible Hulk mode and totally bulked up. Look at the muscles on this guy. Even through this red military uniform, you can see this guy has some crazy, crazy muscles on him. The muscles on his back, those muscles on his back just stretch across his, uh, like really exploding out of his uniform. Crazy, crazy looking. And this version of the Master Bison I have is the version of him when he's powered up. Now, what is the background of this guy? Well, it gets really long and convoluted, but I'm going to give you the shorter version. Master Bison grew up in a remote Thai village in Thailand, as far as anyone can understand. Um, he grew up discovering a strange form of martial art or power called the psycho power, which means he can use the psycho energy in him to accomplish all kind of crazy superhuman things like teleportation, telekinesis, explosion, energy blast, and mind control and levitation, and all kind of crazy things. Eventually, Master Bison went as far as using his mental power to rip the only good part of his personality out of himself. Like this guy is so crazy badass that he reached into his own head and ripped out the good and decent part of his personality and cast it aside so he could be pure evil. And then he went on and built the Shadowloo crime syndicate and started his dream of world domination in a universe, in a game where martial artists have the power to uh, break entire mountain with their fist. Master Bison manages to stand head and shoulder taller, bigger, badder than almost all of them. There were a few guys more powerful than him, but not many. And it's all because of his psycho power. And this is what's depicted here. Look at this giant uh, energy piece that can make him look like he's levitating off the ground. Isn't that cool? This action figure was made by Sota in early 2000, and if you want to get him now, you would have to spend about 150 to $200. I looked for him for many, many, many years, and finally was able to get a second-hand one for about 60 bucks on eBay. That's still crazy expensive when you consider that back in the early 2000s you could get this guy for 11 bucks. But he is a very cool looking action figure, especially with his energy effect that make him levitate like this. This is just one cool looking character. Now, I think it goes without saying, would the Punisher be able to defeat someone like this on his mission to rid the world of criminals? Not possible. I can't. I just personally I can't see what the Punisher can throw at Master Bison to even get that to work. Because Master Bison, with his psycho power ability, is able to survive things like a nuclear blast without even without even getting hairs on his head singed. He can catch bullet out of empty air and then throw it back and kill someone with that bullet. He can teleport. He can control someone's mind and make them his slave instantaneously. So I think the Punisher is okay going up against human level characters, but if he runs into a criminal as crazy strong as Master Bison here, basically who's not even in the human realm of possibility, then there's nothing the Punisher can do that can affect Master Bison one way or another. And Master Bison would be able to crush him with his little finger. So is Master Bison the worst then? The biggest, the baddest, the craziest, the most powerful in our gangsters of the day? It might surprise you to learn that no, there's actually someone even scarier than Master Bison. When I was growing up, when I was a teenager, I played a lot of video games. Like I said, Street Fighter was the one. It was the first one, but Street Fighter was not my favorite. My favorite was a video game that came out in 1994 and just went on and on from there. It was made by SNK and it was called The King of Fighters. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details why I like the King of Fighters better than Street Fighter, uh, but one thing that's very notable about the King of Fighter video game is they made their bad guys, they made their bosses so crazy powerful that in the video game circle there is actually a thing called the SNK boss syndrome that describe how annoying these boss characters can be. I mean, we are talking about the kind of boss character that you can hit them 10 or 20 times and they barely lose any of their energy or their health, and that they touch you once by accident and you are dead. That's how crazy some of those King of Fighter uh, boss characters were. And the most notable back then in 94, 95 was the big boss character called Rugal Bernstein. Rugal Bernstein. I remember Rugal Bernstein very well because I remember all the frustrating hours I spent trying to defeat that guy playing the video game. And so many times I felt like throwing the controller across the room because of how crazy powerful he was, and it just wasn't fair. And of course, being blind didn't make it easy either. I ended up was able to finish the game and defeat him, but it took many, many, many hours of tears and sweat and aggravation and annoyance. So back then, I said to myself, this guy is really annoying, but he is so cool. He's so powerful. He's so cool. I want his action figure. But 20 odd years went by. No one made an action figure of Rugal Bernstein until January of 2020. And because it was really expensive, so I didn't bite the bullet and get it. until recently with uh, the money that was given to me by my beautiful, sexy girlfriend for our anniversary. I bit the bullet and got the action figure of my longtime childhood nemesis, childhood PTSD from video game, Rugal Bernstein. And here I'm going to show you guys what a $100 action figure looks like. Here he is. Look at this guy. Rugal Bernstein on the surface doesn't look like very complicated design. He is a very tall, very muscular uh, character with kind of graying hair, and he's kind of like a middle-aged, older fighter, and he's wearing this mesh fabric T-shirt, and like a dress pants and dress shoes with suspenders hanging down beside him. He looked like a casual businessman who decided to get down and dirty and start fighting. Very simple design until you look at, uh, well, his right eye is actually synthetic, like he has a bionic eye, and I believe his right arm is also cybernetic. I'm going to uncross his arm so you guys can actually get a good look at his musculature. Look at the build on this guy. I mean, if that is not like a perfect physique, I don't know what is. Turn him around, look at him from the back, from the side. Now, when I'm just showing him like this on camera, you guys, a lot of people might think, well, that doesn't look like much. He just looks like a normal guy, very muscular, normal guy, but he just looks like a normal guy. I think we need to bring the Punisher back into focus to give you a size comparison. Here is the Punisher, and here is Rugal Bernstein. The Punisher barely come up to like his upper arm, and yeah, look at how big Rugal is standing next to the Punisher. And he's not big in the bulky, slow way. He's like big, and you look at him, you think this guy is crazy strong, crazy fast. Yeah, the comparison instantly you can tell that this guy is not someone the Punisher want to tangle with when it comes to hand-in-hand combat. And in fact, let me give you a little bit more background on Rugal Bernstein, why he was such a crazy boss character. Rugal Bernstein is one of the most dangerous weapons dealer in the world. He's so successful, he owns his own aircraft carrier. He operates out of his own aircraft carrier, and he has his own satellites. Aside from a criminal, a gang lord, a big underworld figure, Rugal Bernstein's passion in life is martial art. He can instantly learn and duplicate anyone's martial art as long as he sees it once, and he can do it better, and he's stronger and faster than almost anyone he comes across. One time, Rugal Bernstein got bored. Get this, he got bored. So he went to a United States Special Forces base, and he slaughtered 30 special forces soldier with his bare hand. They had guns, they had missiles, they had knives. None of them could touch him. He killed 30 people that day with his bare hand using his martial art because he was bored. Rudolph Bernstein also had a very twisted side to him. Every time he defeats someone who he decides was worthy, he would kill them and he would cast their body in metal. He would turn them into a metal statue to be displayed in his personal museum of all the worthy people he's vanquished. In the end, Rudolf Bernstein became so powerful that he decided to challenge one of the servants of uh, the evil god Irachi in the King of Fighter storyline. This was when Rugal met his first ever defeat. He lost his right eye to the servant of the god, and he was unable uh, to beat this god's mighty servant. However, this servant of the god was so impressed that Rugal Bernstein was strong enough to survive this fight that he actually imbued some of the god's own power into this already crazy strong, crazy powerful gangster. So now Rugal Bernstein not only dangerous, he's deadly because now he's imbued with some essence of the god. That's why Rugal Bernstein was so crazy in the video game. Like he's one of those characters that, he has some of the strongest techniques in the game, and he does crazy amount of damage when he hits you, and he has all kind of defensive capability that protect him from your attack. In the King of Fighters storyline, at the end, when the heroes found this criminal, found Rugal, there were the entire cast, 10, 20 of the strongest heroes in the world, ganged up on him, and they still weren't able to defeat him. In the end, the only reason he died was he tried to tap into his godly power, and his body was unable to handle it, and he exploded. He exploded himself because he got greedy. Otherwise, no one could do anything to him. Like I said, this is a $100 figure. He's big. He's beautiful. This is like a beautiful sculpt. Very articulated. Shoulder, arms, wrist, head, neck, body, hip, waist, knee, toe. He's super articulated, this guy. Uh, and what makes him even more impressive is they actually included a couple energy pieces to simulate his power. Like this one here, this big curved blade thing simulate one of the kicking techniques he does. In the game, when he kicks, he projects this blade out from his kick, and this thing can like cut people in half. This is like a sword coming out of his foot when he kicks. And look how big this effect is. It's almost as tall as he is. And this thing is actually surprisingly sharp. Like if I want to, I can actually use this as a letter opener. This is really, really sharp. And that's not all. He also comes with a little flame effect piece right here. And this simulates his power when he's powering up in the video game. When he's powering up, he has flames coming up off the ground around him like this. really, really cool. So that's actually a lot of plastic you get. Uh, it's still really expensive, but it's Rugal Bernstein has been such a big traumatic part of my gaming history, and he's such a cool character, cool design, simple but very strong, very powerful. Um, we don't even have to talk about if the Punisher can beat this guy. I mean, this is a guy who's imbued with the power of the god, so it's not going to work. I hope you guys have fun. I know this is a bit lengthy, and I got to hurry on up to go make Fitness Friday. So thank you. I will see you guys in a little while.